the general term of the quadratic part is Tn equal to minus 2n squared plus 9n minus 11. We were doing number 4. The question says, explain why this quadratic number pattern will never have a positive term, which means the quadratic pattern will always have negative terms. So we need to provide a mathematical explanation as to why it will never have a positive term. To do that, we have to use the concept of completing the square, right, as part of the explanation. So I've got my general term, then I said, let me factor out negative 2. So I factored out negative 2 there. Alright? The reason is because when you want to complete the square, the coefficient of that term must be equal to what? A 1. Remember, we completed the square in term 1. If you want to complete the square, the coefficient of the variable must be equal to 1. So I factored out negative 2. Then the next thing now is to determine half of the coefficient of n. Half the coefficient of n. So by half of coefficient of n, we are saying what is minus 9 minus 9 okay, minus 9 okay, so we need to find what is minus 9 over 2 divided by 2. Okay, we need to find half of the coefficient. Judah, can you please be part of the lesson? So this is equal to minus 9 over 2 minus 9 over 2 times 1 over 2, which gives you minus 9 over 4. So half the coefficient of n is minus 9 over 4. So that half coefficient of n, we add the square of it and we subtract the square of it. That concept of completing the square, we discussed it in term 1. Now it's application. So this becomes minus 2, open bracket, n squared minus 9 over 2 n plus 11 over 2. Then we subtract the square of half of the coefficient of minus 9 over 2. So this becomes minus 9 over 4 squared plus, if you subtract it, then you also add it. The result that you get there is a 0. So this will be minus 9 over 4 squared. Now be aware that here, okay, let me remove this square bracket. I'll put this square bracket. I'm just worried that I may not be talking to myself. No, if you understand. Right? So this part here gives you what? 0. It gives you a 0. Okay? It gives you 0. So I have added and subtracted the square of half of the coefficient of n. Okay? The reason why we have to do this is to create a perfect square trinomial. So this term, I need this. When I remove the brackets, I'll end up getting this. So you end up getting minus 2 times n squared minus 9 over 2n, right, plus 11 over 2. Then I'll take the result here, that is minus 9 over 4 squared. Okay? That will give me plus 81 over 16 minus 81 over 16. And then I'll put that in square bracket. Okay? Right? Okay? We're following them. Yeah. I'm completing the square. Then I can add these two. Okay? I can add those two. If I add them, These two. What is 11 over 2 plus 81 over 16?
8 plus 1.
You multiply the 11 by 8, the 2 by 8. So that will give you 8 plus that 81 to give you 169. 169 over 16. So let me move on to the next page. You've got your calculator? Do you have your calculator? Do you have your calculator? If you want to simplify this, you have to find an LCD. What is the LCD of 2 and 16? 16. 16. So to convert this 2 to a 16, you multiply it by 8. You also multiply the numerator by what? By 8. 11 times 8 is 88. 2 times 8 is 16. Since the denominator will become the same, therefore you can add the what? The numerators. You are in grade 11. I cannot go back to the basics. You understand that you are in grade 11.
So, yes, so the numerator has to be an integer, sir? Yes.
For this type of a question, yes. The numerator has to be an
But then the
integer.
LCD could have been 2, sir. Then you divide 2 under 2.
The LCD cannot be 2 here. The LCD is the largest of the two denominators, which is 16. Because 2 is a factor of 16. So the LCD is what? 16. I think I need to change the place. From next lesson, you sit in front of. Right, let me count. So this becomes Tn equal to minus 2. Okay, let me move on a little bit quickly. Right, so we'll end up getting minus 2 open bracket n squared minus 9 over 2n. This is n squared minus 9 over 2n plus 169 over 16. Okay, I hope you are following that. Minus 81 over 16. Minus 81 over 16, then you close the bracket. Okay? Now, here, when you get here, you need to be aware that this is a perfect square trinomial. Can you stop that? I don't want to ask someone to go outside. Don't force me to do so. You can. All right. So this becomes Tn equal to minus 2 times. Now, remember, I told you about perfect square trinomials in term 1. When you factorize a perfect square trinomial, you always get two binomial factors that are the same. So here, when you factorize the trinomial that I circled in green, you will get n minus 13 over 4, all squared. Okay? If you want to do, I'm not teaching for the sake of the test. I'm teaching you not only for this grade, even for next year, because the quadratic pattern is also tested when you write matric, and you may get a question of this nature. What are you going to do? Not only in the upcoming test, even at the end of the year and next year. So I'm not teaching you because there is a test coming in 2 weeks' time. No. I'm teaching you the section to also prepare you for your matric as well. Because this topic comes in matric. If you check any metric paper, there's a question on the quadratic pattern. Okay? That's why I told you earlier that your grade 11 is the backbone of your metric year. Yes?
I think the question is confusing. Because it says explain. So for me,
Well,
I would have used words to say it.
That's why you need a teacher to guide you. This question, it's a level 4 question.
But it is improved.
Okay? Wait.
I would have understood, but
there is no way that you can just answer the question without doing some kind of working out. You understand? Listen, be flexible. I'm trying to guide you as to how you can answer the question. Stop having other thoughts. This, this is a level 4 question. You understand? It's a level 4 question. So I'm showing you how you can answer the question. So from here, I factorized this trinomial, right? This will be minus 81 over 16. Then we now need to remove the square bracket by multiplying this by negative 2 and this fraction by negative 2. If we do that, we will get minus 2 times n minus 13 over 4 squared, right, plus, if I multiply that by 2, I'll get 162 over 16. Right? Is 16 a factor of 162? No. Right? But this 162 over 16 is close to 10. Right? Now, this is where the explanation now comes in. Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention? How many of you agree with me that this will always be positive for any value of n?
Yes, because of the square.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Right? But there is a minus 2 which is multiplying that n minus 13 over 4 squared. So it will always be what? Negative. Right? So the negative that you get here, if you add it to the positive there, you always get a negative term in the end. So the explanation would be, after doing all this, we're working out, you say minus 2 times n minus 13 over 4 squared will always be greater than what? So it will always be less than 0. Therefore, the pattern will never be positive. And then you can get your full marks.
So you get 1 mark for just writing the first part.
A question like this can have 3 or 4 marks. So some of the marks will be for working out. Okay?
Can you get a mark for the last part?
What the hell?
Can you get a mark for the last part? How would you get it without showing you're working out?
But you can see that the thing is decreasing to the negative side.
If you have got that kind of mentality, you'll struggle with level 4 question.
I don't want to answer level 4 questions.
Okay, let me carry on. I have tried my best. So this is how you do the question. Now, if you practice, you're going to encounter questions of this type. Some of them will have positive terms in the quadratic pattern. This one here has negative terms. You may be asked to explain why the pattern is going to have positive terms or negative terms. Sometimes you may be asked to explain why the pattern can have even numbered terms or it can have odd numbered terms. The concept is still the same. Application of quadratic equations and completing the square. All right. Okay, let's move on to G now. All right. G says a quadratic pattern is a general term. Okay. T2 minus T1 is equal to 3. So here, let's say the first term of the pattern is x. Right? The first term is x. The second term is y. Right? Our first difference, T2 minus T1 is going to give you minus 3. Then T3 minus T2 is going to give you 1. So I can also have Z there. So T2 minus T3 is going to give me a 1. Are you following what I'm doing?
Oh, yes.
Our quadratic pattern is not provided. The terms of the quadratic pattern are not provided. Okay? Wait, the third term of the pattern is 3. Then, in that case, we can delete that. And then we'll put 3 there. Right. The third term is it's a 3. Yes. Expect questions like this. All right.
Why is 2?
So yes, why is 2 and then you can work out x with that. So
That's
the whole thing very
Okay. Listen. The objective of the question is not to calculate x and y.
yes.
Okay, so I'm not going to worry myself trying to calculate what is x, y, what is y. That's not the objective, right? So D1 is that. Then D2 will be 1 minus 3. That will give you what? 4. We need to calculate A, B, and C. That's what the question is asking. Alright? Please, don't do a calculation of something that you are not asked to do, even if you have got an unknown variable. It's unnecessary for this question to calculate x and to calculate y. Right? So to calculate A, remember 2A is equal to 4, so A is going to be 2. Right? Then 3A plus B is equal to this term. So that will be equal to minus 3. Can you put that away, please? Put it away. You have got the very thing, you've got pockets. Right?
Son, the time was the
Okay, so B is going to be minus 3. B equal to minus 3. It will affect my area. Right? B equal to minus 3 minus 3 times A, which is the 2. Can you go outside and have some fresh air drink tomorrow? So this gives me B equal to minus 3 minus 6. And then you get B equal to minus 9. Alright? If you did the question, these are the answers that you're supposed to get. Okay? Then, to calculate C, T1 is going to be equal to A plus B plus C. Right? Now, to calculate C, you need to know what is the first term. In this case, what? X. Now, you have to calculate the X. There is no other way. There is no other way that you can carry on to calculate C unless you determine what is the first term.
So that's why I was telling you, that's why I
So in that
case, is human, can you relax?
So 3 plus 1, that will give you what? 4 then. Right? And then to get this, remember, it is 4 minus x is equal to minus 3. So it will be like this. 4 minus x is equal to minus 3. So this becomes equal to what? To 7. Right? So this will become equal to 7. So I'll put 7 there. Okay, alright. Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention? I'm going to repeat it. Alright. You need to be aware that if you want to get, how did you come up with that 1? 1 is equal to T3 minus T what? T2.
T3 minus T2 is negative 1. This 3 minus 4 is negative 1.
Text, can you relax? Doesn't make
No, it does. It does.
Okay, wait. If you want to get this 1, it's equal to T3 minus T2. Right? So, if I do basic math, 3 minus y will give you a what?
Yes.
A 1. Then you take the minus y to the right, you get 3. Okay? So it's going to be.
So what's 3 minus 4?
Okay, in actual fact, it's going to be a minus there.
Yes.
So this will be minus 1 equal to 1. Which means this is not a 4. It's a 2. Right. So that's a 2.
Come on, it's a friendly.
So this is a 2. Right? So this is a 2.
Yes.
Right? Are you following that?
Yes.
Right, so let's
So what did you write the Y?
Alright. It's not, listen, don't you make it a big deal. If you want, you can add in, you've got your book there.
Let's substitute the X
Right? You can put it there. So this is Y, yes. That's Y. Right? So my Y is a what? It's a 2. Then to get the X is gonna be 2 minus X is equal to minus 3. So 2 minus X is equal to minus 3. Right? Then you take the minus 3 to the left, it becomes positive, take the minus X to the right. So this is gonna be 5. Right? So let's do that. So this is going to be 5 is equal to A, remember A is 2, B is minus 9, then we need to calculate C. Alright, so just allow me to write here, C is going to be equal to, now this gives me minus 7, take the minus 7 to the left, you get 12. So C is going to be 12. Like if you did the work, just mark your work, please. Any question?
Sir, can you put the map?
Any question? Alright, a question like this can have maybe 4 or 5 marks. Obviously, you have 1 mark for each for calculating A, B, and C. Then the other mark for determining the first term, the T1. So it could be about 4 marks.
No, sir, well, on the 14, how many marks is the
About 20 marks the whole topic.
or 50?
Yeah, because remember we have the linear pattern, which is grade 10, and we've got the quadratic. So it will be about 20 marks on the linear pattern.
So what else come out of it?
Alright, it's 3 topics. Number patterns, analytical geometry, and tree graphs. Alright, let's move on to E. Alright, E. Can I have your attention? Alright, the question says, given the quadratic sequence, determine the position, that is n, and the value of the term with the lowest value. Right? So we need to determine what is the position of a term with the lowest value. Right? To do that, we need to determine the general term first. Right? So it's 8, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 6, 8, 1. So our first difference is, what's the difference? It's minus
157.
minus 157.
No.
57.
57.
Okay, it's minus 57. Then the next one,
Minus 55.
minus 55. And the third one,
Minus 53.
negative 53. Right, then the second difference is,
2.
this will give you a positive 2, and that will give you a positive 2. Alright, then let's find A. So 2A is going to be 2, therefore A is 1. 3A plus B equal to minus 57, then B is going to be minus 57. Can you stop that, please? Stop that. Stop that. You have got after school until Monday. If you are craving for them, you can even can buy a truck of them if you want. But this is not the time. Okay. But minus 57 is going to be equal to 3 times A, which is equal to 1. So I can say here, my B is going to be minus 60. You did the question here, I hope you got that. Right? Then C is T1 equal to A plus B plus C. This is the first term. That's the first term. So 8, 4, 6 is going to be equal to A, which is 1, and B is minus 60. right? So you get 846 equal to minus 59 plus C. Now, if you add 846 plus 59, you get 9 what? 905 equal to C. Therefore, the general term is going to be Tn equal to n squared minus 60n plus 905. Right? Okay. Now, the next thing is to carry on and factorize that. Okay? We factorize it. Now we have to factorize it. Since the coefficient of n is a 1, we just factorize it. Right? So if we carry on, so we have Tn equal to n squared minus 60 plus 905. Right? Now we have to solve this. Okay? We have to what? To solve. Okay? But can you factorize this?
No.
Okay, you can't factorize, so let's do that. N squared minus 60 plus 905 equal to 0. So n is going to be equal to minus 60 minus 60 plus or minus b squared, that will be minus 60 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, and c is 905, all over and 2 times 1. I'm using the quadratic formula. You should not get such surprised. So this gives me 60 plus or minus the square root of 3,600 minus, what is 4 times 905? It gives me, what is 4 times 905? 3,620. This is all over 2. So this will give you 60 plus or minus the square root of minus 20 all over 2. Right? Now, I'm sure you are aware that this is negative. Therefore, we can't solve for n here. Right? So we'll say, okay, we'll say the square root of minus 20 is undefined. Therefore, right, I just need to check something here before I carry on. I just need to check. Okay, the pattern is more like we can't find the exact position. But let me complete the square. Yes. Okay, let me try to complete the square. Okay, I think it's much better to complete the square than to solve.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You use the concept of quadratic. We haven't done quadratic equations. Sorry, the quadratic function. So what I'm going to do is, let me complete the square, because by this time when you get to that point there, it won't make any sense to say that n is undefined. It cannot be undefined. We can't say n is infinite. No. So allow me to carry on. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'll complete the square. So we have got Tn equal to n squared minus 60n plus 905. Right? Half of the coefficient of 16 is going to be what? 30. So this gives me n squared. Half of 60 is 30. So that will be minus 60n plus 30 squared minus 30 squared plus 905.
And what happened there?
I'm completing the square. So this becomes n squared minus 60n plus 900. This becomes minus 900 plus 905. So you get n squared I can factorize here. I'll get n minus 30 squared minus, after it becomes plus 5. Are you following that? I'm completing the square. You can't use the quadratic equation to get the solution, so the best method is to complete the square. Alright? So I'm here now. Right? Now, the minimum value that you can get here is going to be a value that you substitute, which will give you a what? A 0. So, from here we can say, therefore, n is going to be equal to what?
30.
N is going to be equal to 30. Now, also, the other thing, it's unfortunate that we haven't done the quadratic function in grade 11. You can draw a graph of this. It's a function. Okay? We haven't done the grade 11 function. Therefore, I cannot get into the details of the relationship between functions and number patterns. But this is an indicator that at the turning point, y is going to be 5 and x is going to be 30. And it's going to have a minimum turning point. That's why the minimum, if it's a function, it's going to be 30. Okay, your method that you use is based on functions. Okay?
Would I get it wrong if I did it?
No, it's correct. But the thing is that we haven't done that. So it will be Greek to most of you. Then that one who knows Greek here. Yes. All right. So n is going to be 30. Are you following? All right. What this means is we are incorporating functions and quadratic pattern. There is a relationship. Quadratic equations, quadratic function, quadratic pattern, there is a relationship. Right, so this will be the answer. Then the next question now says determine the value of the term with the lowest value. So we just substitute n equal to what? 30 into the general term. So let me do it on the next page. So we say Tn is equal to n squared minus 60n plus 905. So T30 is going to be 30 squared minus 60 times 30 plus 905. This gives me 900 minus 1800 plus 905. If I add these two, I'll get 1805 minus 1800. So the answer that you get is what? Is a 5. Are you following them? So be aware that you don't use the quadratic formula to determine the solution. It won't work. You have to use the method of completing the square. That method is related to the concept of a minimum for a quadratic function. Our next topic is the grade 11 quadratic function, okay, which I will start next week. All right, let's do the last question. This one here. Okay. All right, a quadratic pattern has got a second term equal to 1. So let's say the first term is x, the second is 1, and the third term equal to minus 4, right? And the fifth term equal to, so I can have y here, and then a fifth term which is minus 23. Can I have your attention, please? Right? So d1 is 1 minus x, minus 4 minus that will give me minus 5. Then I'll get y minus minus, that will give me y plus 4. I hope you're following here. Minus 23 minus that.
Minus 60 minus 5.
Right? So first term is unknown, it's not given. Second term is 1. Right? Third term is negative 4. The fourth term is not given. The fifth term is minus 20. D2. So that would be minus 5. Well, allow me to write it as minus 1 minus x. And this would be y plus 4 minus 5. And then the last one will be minus 23 minus y plus 4. Okay? So calculate the second difference of the pattern. That's what the question wants. So we have to find what is y equal to. But it's much better, it would be much better here to equate this one here and that one. Then you calculate what? Y. After getting y, you substitute the y back here. Right? So let me equate this one and that one there. Yes. We're not supposed to be thinking about water, we're supposed to be thinking about this.
So I need water. I'll take outside.
So this will be y minus 1 equal to, this I've simplified here, y plus 4 minus 5 gives me y minus 1. Then here it will be minus 23y minus y plus 4. So this will be minus 23y minus y, right? Minus y minus 4, like that. So you get y minus 1 equal to minus 27 minus 2y. Take the minus 2y to the left, you get 3y, minus 1 to the right, you get what? Minus 20, 26. Am I right?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Okay, but, well, it's going to become a little bit unusual. Let me just check here. So I subtracted. Okay, I made a mistake here. Right, I need to put a plus. This becomes a plus. Okay, so that will be, let me check. This one is fine. So this will be plus 9. So that will be plus 9. And this will be plus 9. So when I take it to the other side, so wait, if I simplify here, minus 27, take this to the other side. I'll end up getting 3, then 9 to the other side. Okay. I'm rushing because time is almost it's not on our side. So if I take this 9 to the other side, I'll get minus what? Minus 36. So y is going to be negative 12. Now this is not the answer. Can you stop that, please? Right? So to get the second difference, I have to put y equals minus 36 here. So minus 12. So the second difference is the way. D2 is going to be equal to minus 12 plus 9, which is what? Negative 3. Are you following? Okay. What's your problem? You can't say all of it.
What's the plus 9?
You can't say all of it because look here. The second differences are what? Are equal. Am I right? Okay, quadratic pattern. So this you equate it to that. It becomes a grade 9 equation, which is this one. Y plus 4 plus 5 gives you what? 9. Then you simplify. Minus 23 minus 4 minus 27. Minus y minus 2y. Take the minus 2y to the left, it becomes 3y. That's grade 9 way. Then take the 9 to the left, becomes negative. Minus 27 minus 9 gives you minus 36. Divide both sides by 3, you get y equal to this. And then you put that y back here. Here. You can even put it here too, or there. You get the same answer. Okay? Then, since we now know the second difference, we can now carry on. Determine the general term. Now, the problem now is we need to get this x. Okay? We have to get this x. So to get x, it's very easy. We know that our second difference is minus 3. Okay? So I'll say minus 3 is equal to this. Okay? It's equal to that. The second differences are the same. So this will be minus 6 plus x. Okay? Minus 6 plus x, like that. So x is going to be what? The 3. Right? So let's carry on. So 2a is equal to minus 3. So a is minus 3 over 2. Right? 3a plus b is equal to 3a plus b. Put x here equal to what? 3. Right? What is 1 minus 3? What is 1 minus 3?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. So put negative 2 there. So b is going to be minus 2 minus 3 times minus 3 over 2. This will give you minus 2. Right? Well, that will give me the plus. The plus what? 9 over 2. Right? So b is going to be, this is the same as minus 4, so I'll get 5 over 2. Remember, this was homework, so you should get these answers. Are you following? Huh? Huh? Then you see, it's T1 equals A plus B plus C. T1 is X, and T1 is gonna be 3. So I'll put 3 here. A is minus 3 over 2. B is 5 over 2. I hope you are following. Right? Minus 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2, that will give you 1. This is equal to 1. Take the 1 to the left, you get C equal to what? To 2. Therefore, the general term will be Tn equal to minus 3 over 2n plus 5 over 2n plus 2. So that will be your final answer.